Hello guys and welcome back to my channel. So for my second video, I thought I would do some book recommendations, and I asked some of my friends on Instagram last week on a poll of which recommendations they want to see. Would they want to see fantasy or sci-fi? And even though it was a very close call, sci-fi won. I'm happy to do both, but obviously it's exciting to do sci-fi as well. So without further ado, let's get into the books. And before we start, gonna celebrate by this little mug of coffee, which is perfect for this very special occasion. Let's get started. The first book I'm going to recommend is Scythe by Neal Shusterman. Well, I don't have the first book because I lost it unfortunately, but I do have the second one, so this is the one I'm gonna hold up. Yeah, so actually I do recommend the entire series as a whole. So Scythe essentially is about a dystopian world, well also utopian you could say, where everyone has learned to preserve their lives. So they know how to cheat death, they know how to maintain their immortality, and so they know how to prolong their life. But unfortunately in the process, because this world has to control the population, like the growing amount of population, they do have to have some casualties in order to control the amount of people that live in this world. So this is where the Scythes come in, and this story essentially begins with Chitra and Rowan. I'm sorry if I pronounce her name wrong, because Chitra is a very common name, a very common Indonesian name. So I'm just gonna say Chitra. I'm not sure how you pronounce it. I'm sorry if I butchered her name. But so yeah, Chitra and Rowan are two teenagers who are taken in as an apprentices of the Scythes. So they have to take in Scythe training, and in order to become a Scythe themselves, even though they don't want to. And yeah, so not gonna tell you any more from here because it is a book that you do have to read for yourself. Just experience this entire thing. I just think this is an incredible world. I think Neal Shusterman has created such an immersive and intriguing world where you just want to discover every nook and cranny. And every time they discover a new place, you're just like, oh, I have to know more about this, because it's just so riveting and so interesting. And it's just an intense thrill ride. It's like going on a roller coaster. It's basically like another version of maybe like the Mummy ride from the Universal Studios, if you will. Weird way to compare it, but that's what I'm gonna say. But yeah, it is just so incredibly fast-paced, but also so much fun, and you just invested every step of the way. And yeah, like I said, the world is just immaculate and it's just great. Please read it. It's really one of the most unique sci-fi dystopians that I've ever read. The next one is actually one of my all-time favorite books, and that is The Martian by Andy Weir. I've talked about Andy Weir's book Project Hail Mary in my previous video, but I'm going to talk about the original, the one and only The Martian, which is still my favorite Andy Weir novel, and also one of my favorite novels of all time. So this story is essentially about an astronaut named Mark Watney, who was left for dead in Mars because his friends thought that he was lost in a storm. So his friends left him in Mars, which is, yeah, you could say it's bad for them, but technically they didn't know he was alive, so they didn't have any other choice. But so yeah, so he wakes up in Mars alone, and basically this is about him trying to navigate around Mars and trying to survive. And I think for a novel about a man lost in Mars, it is anything but depressing for me, which is very weird because I came into this thinking that this is going to be really sad, and there are some sad moments actually, but there's a lot of light-hearted, humorous moments. And Mark Watney, as a person, I think is just incredibly charismatic, and he isn't the one to give up really easily. Like he would try to solve one problem to another, and even though some of them fails, he would always try again. And I love that about him. I loved his tenacity and his determination to survive. So yeah, it's absolutely a really, really good book. But I do have to take a note, like if you want to go into this book, you have to know that there's a lot of this scientific explanation. It's so it's just full of like these sciencey stuff that you have to get into. Like sometimes he would go into equations, he would go into like some other scientific theories. So if you don't mind that, I think you're absolutely going to enjoy this book. The next few books I'm going to recommend are the Skyward series by Brandon Sanderson. So we have Skyward, and we also have Scythe. No third book here because it is not out yet. So we're just going to talk about these two books, but mainly Skyward itself. So essentially this story is about a young pilot named Spencer who joins this prestigious space school, and the backstory is their planet is essentially surrounded by this alien race that could attack them at any minute, which is why they built this pilot squad, and then they need a new generation of pilots to be able to protect Earth. And so yeah, that's kind of all I want to tell you from there. I know it seems incredibly simple, but I loved it. It is a very, very fun sci-fi novel. So that's all I'm gonna say, because like I said with the previous novel, this is a novel that you do have to read for yourself. It is just so much fun, even though it is around 500 pages. I think, I could be wrong. I'm just gonna guess ahead. But I feel like this is one of those novels you could definitely read in one sitting, because the story is just incredibly quick paced as well. And I love this sense of camaraderie that Spencer has with her friends and the squad as well. And I think what I like about this book as well is that it does delve in a lot into human conflict. So it isn't just about humans versus aliens. There's actually internal human conflicts as well. So, and it isn't black and white. So when Spencer looks at someone in disdain, it doesn't exactly mean that they're a bad person. Like, there's actually a reason behind their actions. And I really like it about this book. Like, you would think that it is just like a normal sci-fi story where everything is black and white, but it's not. It delves in a lot into how Spencer communicates with her squad as well, and her mentors, and how she looks, how her views can actually change on them. And I really, really like that kind of character development. And there's also this dynamic with her and something that I am not gonna tell you, because you absolutely need to read to find out. But overall, definitely read this. I think if you want to get into sci-fi, like if you're a beginner and you really, really want to get into some fresh sci-fi stories, this could be the one for you. The next book I'm going to talk about is actually an underrated one. I haven't heard a lot about this one, but I think more people should be talking about it. And it is The Last by Hannah Jameson. This is an apocalyptic murder mystery that takes place in the aftermath of a nuclear explosion that took the world by storm. And so essentially this is about a bunch of people who are stuck in a hotel and are left with very little resource and food, and so they have to do everything they can to survive. And also, like I've mentioned, there is a murder mystery as well in the middle of all of this. Obviously, I'm not going to say anything more, but it is honestly, for me, I think this was an intense thrill ride, and I really like that murder mystery aspect to it as well. It's very, very interesting, and you're just intrigued by everyone. And like the blurb said in this book, it's a post-apocalyptic and there were none, and honestly could not agree more. Yeah, so I think this feels like it's in the veins of like something like Agatha Christie, but like if it takes place in an apocalyptic world. So yeah, if you're a huge fan of murder mysteries, but also want to spice it up a little bit, I think this would be a really, really fun read. I actually read this during I had a murder mystery phase back then, and so this is one of the books that I came across and I absolutely enjoyed. And yeah, just really, really good. I actually also read this during the new year. Not really a good time to read it, but I just wanted to, okay? But also, yeah, definitely like such an enjoyable read, I think. And I don't see a lot of people talk about this book, and it's criminally underrated. Read it. The next book I'm going to mention is actually a book that I don't have a physical copy of, but I did read this one on audiobook, and it is Station 11 by Emily St. John Mandel. And this is honestly one of my all-time favorite sci-fi novels, because it is just so beautifully written, And essentially, the novel takes place in an apocalyptic world where a virus has taken over the world by storm, and 99% of the population has been wiped out. So all that's left is the other 1%. And so this story takes place in two different timelines. It takes place in the years leading up to the virus and also the years after the virus. But the main timeline is about this traveling circus that performs plays for the remaining survivors in the years after the outbreak. And I just think this novel is so beautiful, because it is one of those novels that teaches you the importance of holding on to things that really matter and also appreciating the little things as well. And it's just really relishing everything in your life, because you never know when you're gonna lose it. And so looking and hearing it's an audiobook, so hearing all these characters reminisce about how they miss the movies and how they miss like the old times, I think for me it just really tugs at your heartstrings and you want them to be happy. And yeah, and for me this is a novel that has truly perfected every single aspect of the craft and what I would describe as a near perfect novel as well in every way. The pacing is great, the characters are just so memorable, the writing is immaculate. Oh, it is truly amazing. And yeah, it is so good, and I think listening to this on audiobook just really enhanced the story as well. I was just so 100% immersed in everything. Yeah, I know this has been pretty popular on BookTube as well, but I just feel like more people need to read this book because it's just amazing. Also, I just wanted to give you guys a quick reading update from my last video. In my video before, I did mention that I was reading The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue by Weir Schwab, and I said I was liking it so far. I've since finished it. I just finished it today, and I really enjoyed it actually. I know a lot of people had mixed feelings about this book and weren't really feeling Addie as a character. I personally really liked her as a character, and I was really interested to see her relationship with Henry and also her relationship with Luke, which went in ways that I did not expect, even though it was kind of obvious where it would go, but I just wasn't expecting to end like that. But overall, I really enjoyed this book, really loved it. I could be biased because I do love V.E. Schwab as an author, but yeah, personally, I really liked it. And there you have it, guys. Those are my sci-fi book recommendations. I really hope you enjoyed this video and give a thumbs up and like and subscribe. I hope to post more videos like this soon. And yeah, I really hope you enjoy, and you can also follow me over on Goodreads, which I will link in the description down below. And I also have a blog where I talk about films and books, mainly films, but there are also some book related posts as well, so you can definitely check that out, and I hope to see you soon.